Hello and welcome to Jeff's photography lessons. I'm going to be showing you some of the basics on how to use Photoshop to edit your photos. Really basic stuff. So enjoy. Let's move over to display here and get into Photoshop. So once you've opened up Photoshop, it might ask you to sign in. You're going to use your ID number at cbe.ab.ca. Okay, I'm already signed in here. And so I'm going to go and open a photo. And let's figure out where my photos are sitting. I think I've got some in a folder called, I'm already in Cool Photos. So we'll see if we can find the photo that we want to work with a little bit today. I think I want to work with this one here. So I'm going to open up this photo that somebody has taken in one of my in-person photography classes. And you can see here that there's a few different things that you need to pay attention to. There's a bunch of different tools on the left here. You've got your layer panels on the right, and then we've got all of our different adjustment layers. First thing we're going to do, though, is that we don't want this to remain as a background. So I'm going to click on this little lock button, and then it turns it into a normal kind of layer. Okay. Now, most of what I'm going to be using to work with is right here on the adjustments layer. Most of our tools are going to be here for us. So I'm going to first just show you the brightness and contrast tool. So I click on that and I can up my brightness a little bit if I want to. And you can see it can make a big difference, but we don't want to go too much. So maybe I'll just up a touch, and then I can change my contrast to be a lot of contrasty or a lot less contrast. So I'm just going to actually leave it right about there. And there we go. Let's get out of that little window. And there's many different things that you can be playing with here. The hue and saturation we can play with a little bit here, where we can increase the saturation of the colors. Obviously, the thing is about most of these things that you can do in Photoshop is that small adjustments are better. You don't want to look at the photo and see that it looks really processed. Okay, the more you do that, you want it to look real. So you just want to improve the picture a little bit. We can even change the lightness of our photo if we want, but I'm going to pretty much leave this the way it is there. Actually, I'm not going to. It's gone down here into my layers panel, hue saturation. I don't actually want it, so I'm just going to delete. There is color balance as well that I can play with. The different RGBs. Here, if I want to, I can change the different tones. So if I'm just looking for shadows, for example, if I want to add more cyan to my shadows, it looks like there's not a whole lot in the shadows here. Let's go for my midtones if I'm adding more cyan. You can kind of see it mostly in the back, like in the back screen there. I think if I go into highlights, then this cyan is going to really, mostly in the back there. I can change things here in the magenta and add a little bit more magenta if I wanted to. This is a bit more of an advanced technique using the color balance tool here. You probably won't use it too often. You might be using the curves quite a bit, which is I'd like to use the curves a lot. And typically I just kind of go like this and a little bit, I bring the darks, make it a little darker and the lights a little bit lighter. And that always kind of makes it pop a little bit. I always like using that. There are also some tools in here where you can create the black and white effects. Let's see if I can just figure out where it is. It's one of them. It's one of them. It is, I don't actually see it here. Maybe I was wrong and there isn't one here. But I can create it here by desaturating my photo, and it can turn into a black and white picture like that. It's pretty easy to do. It's by desaturating to turn it into black and white. As you can see, there's really a lot of different little things that you can play with in here. What I do suggest that you do with your photo is you always make sure that before you send it out to me that it's in a CMYK color mode, and that's good for printing. So if you're going to go down into edit, and then you're going to go down into assign profile. Now it looks like this is already CMYK, so I don't need to do anything with that. Now, typically your videos, your pictures will be in RGB, which is a screen color space, but a print color space is CMYK, which is what we want it to turn into. But I don't really need to do that here because it's already been done. To go into black and white, we can always go over here into image, and we can go mode, and then I can easily go to grayscale like this. And we say yes, discard the color information. There we go, we're in grayscale. Now, what I like to do once I'm in grayscale is I like to go to mode, and then I go to duotone. And I think these are beautiful ways to get some interesting black and white. So it's actually combining several different colors to create the tones that you're going to find, and which I really think it can create some beautiful, beautiful black and white prints by using these duotones and tritones and quad tones. There are a million different things that you can try out here. You can see already this is using green and mauve, but it's still black and white, but it brings up the tonality of the photo so much more. There's really nice stuff that it can look like in here. And of course, then you could even go into these and play with these a little bit more. This is the thing that I like about Photoshop, is that it doesn't have to be that advanced, but it can be really advanced. There's a lot that you can do with it. Now, so for this particular video, I've covered some of these different adjustment layers that you can be using. Most of them you're not really going to touch too much, except for your brightness and maybe your curves a little bit, and even exposure you might change. So if I'm in exposure, I'm going to move this a little bit more if it's underexposed or something. This works really well if it's a raw file, because we can go a lot further. You can take a picture that's a raw file, and it could be underexposed, and we can still bring it up to make sure that it looks great in Photoshop, and it's no problem. Okay, so I'm not going to go into too much more detail with this particular video, but I am going to make some more. I do want to go over some of these different tools on the left-hand side here, but for today, I'm not going to do that. Today, I just want you to make certain that you're looking at some of these different adjustment layers, as well as if you need to become black and white, that you're able to do this. You go into grayscale here, and then you can do the duotones in there. All right, I hope that was everything that you hoped it would be, that I can give you a little bit of a go into Photoshop. Now, remember, if you want to get Photoshop going in your computer home, it's very easily done. There is a link in the announcements on D2L a little bit further down. I can post it up higher again for you. And again, you're going to use your ID number at cbe.ab.ca when it asks you to log in, and you should be able to use that. All right, thank you very much, and have a wonderful day.